Okay, I think that's everybody in by the looks of it, and we may have a few people joining us as we go on, but I think we're okay at the moment. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the OMEP UK Early Childhood Education for Sustainable Citizenship Award. This short webinar is hosted by Professor John Siraj-Blatchford and me, Lynette Brock of Schema Play Community Interest Company. We're also delighted to be joined this evening and presenting here tonight by Hannah Kiani, ESC trainer and teacher at Unity Montessori School in Woodside Park, London. Alison Featherby, ESC trainer and owner of Young Friends Nature Nursery in Hove, Louise Lloyd Evans. And we're also delighted to have with us this evening Sharon Shahal, ESC trainer and owner and director of Monkey Puzzle Day Nurseries in Sidcup. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. The development work in education for sustainable development started several years ago and was originally an international collaboration. This continues. Education for sustainable citizenship presents humankind as a species, as interdependent with the natural world, recognizing that the plants and the animals around us live in an ecological balance, and that we are also interdependent with each other, as individuals, as groups, cultures, and as nations. In terms of early childhood development and learning, our understanding of interdependency begins with our learning about ourselves and about how we respect and care for each other and the wider environment. Who can join the OMEP UK Education for Sustainable Citizenship Award? Well, it's open to anyone working with children between the ages of 3 years and 7 years. So currently we have preschools engaged in the award, childminders, primary schools, nursery schools, daycare settings. The award also fosters parent partnerships through Icare Booklets, and we'll be discussing these in more detail as we go through the presentation.
Hi everyone, I've got the task here of outlining some of the main features of the award scheme. So first of all, mention the 3 pillars, which most of you will be familiar with, I'm sure, but they really are very influential in terms of the materials that we've developed and the supporting materials that are being used in the settings. So the basic principle is one of 3 pillars holding up sustainable development. The metaphor we quite like to use is a stool with 3 legs, because it's really obvious then that if any of these factors is not fully engaged, then you're going to fall over. It's not going to be sustainable. And the model was first published, I think, in the Brundtland report. Most of us understood it back in the 70s and 80s in terms of public expenditure projects, really, things like high-rise building, industrial pollution, etc. So, you know, those decisions have been made in terms of economic criteria, and nobody's been taking serious consideration of the the environmental or the social cultural implications of those developments. And of course, we've still got some of those projects. We've got HS2, the high-speed rail link that's going across England, that's very debatable in terms of its sustainability. We've got the extra runway at Heathrow, all those debates going on. But the model is also just as relevant to sustainable consumption. So even if we're just talking about expenditures in our homes or in our preschools, we're thinking about buying some new resource, or we're choosing transport, clothing, food, leisure, whatever. Still, we need to consider all 3 of these pillars. We need to consider all factors. The really important, the big idea here is interdependence, which comes from obviously ecological interdependence, and it applies equally within each of the legs. So sociocultural interdependence is all about children in preschools getting on with each other, but it's also about individuals in society, cultural groups, communities, nations getting on too. So it's peace education, essentially. And in terms of environment, there's interdependence between, of course, ourselves and the natural worlds, different species, but also our maintenance of the land, the seas, the air that we breathe as well. And interdependence applies within the economy as well. The social contract that we all depend upon in society, the importance of social justice and equity to society, and sustainable development has all of those. So we've tried to integrate in all of our resources and materials those three. They're also very much applied within the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and all of this is reflected directly within them. Of course, there is an education goal in itself, and explicitly early childhood education is included in it. But education is one of the ways in which every single one of the goals has to be achieved. If it's to be achieved, then it means education in terms of lifelong education. It applies just as much to us as it does to the children, if we're actually going to achieve these. And that's the reason that we've really adopted the education for sustainable citizenship in particular perspective. And the definitions that we've chosen to reflect that are, first of all, Dobson's, that a sustainable citizenship, citizen is somebody who actually does sustainability. It's not somebody who just talks the talk, it's somebody who walks the walk. And the other thing is that it's a lifelong emergent capability. I mean, sometimes people talk about, whether people are being hypocritical and not being fully sustainable, even though they're promoting it. If we accept that it is a lifelong emergent capability, something we aspire towards, like democracy, for example, then it's much easier to understand the point, the perspective that we have within it as adults, and also the child as well. They're part of the journey with us. How does that actually work with young children in practice? Well, mostly it means engaging them in being citizens themselves. So it's a celebration, really, of all of the sustainable activities that are happening around them. So when we do something sustainable in our homes or in our preschools, we make decisions, we share that with the children so they feel part of a worldwide movement to actually make a more sustainable world for the future. And to do that, we can call upon all kinds of local community resources, people who are engaged in different projects. We can use the newspapers and bring into the settings information about all of those great things that are being achieved on a day-to-day level. It's an optimistic and celebratory perspective. It stands in contrast with nature deficit or toxic childhood kind of perspectives, which may not actually achieve very much, because one of the things we know about adults and sustainability is the more you frighten them, the less they're going to do about it.
So what's involved? Well, we've already mentioned the Icare Booklets, and these are to support parent partnerships. There's 5 at each level, so 5 at bronze, silver and gold, and they cover Icare Economic Sustainability, Icare Sociocultural Sustainability, Icare Environmental Sustainability, and we have ICANN Literacy and Numeracy as well, because obviously to be sustainable we also need to be literate and numerate. Now, although they're books for parent partnerships, they're certainly not homework. And anybody that's around my age might remember the old Ladybird I Spy books, where we used to take them on a car journey and do the activities. That's what this is about. It's a joyous celebration of collaborating together as families, whether it be in a walk in the park, in the forest, or when the shopping comes home. Pick up one of the booklets and you'll find activities to do. So they might be looking for the recycled labels on cartons or the fair trade symbols, for example. So they are 10 activities in each, and they are free to do. And as children work through these booklets and finish a booklet, they get to go in their Sustainable Citizenship passport, a sticker. And in that, and they put that in their passport, and a passport is a global citizenship passport, so that they recognise that they are citizens of the world. Whilst the children and their families are engaging in these fun activities, the settings are also thinking about the activities that they offer as part of their everyday activities. And in order to do that and to start supporting that, they complete a self-audit tool. Now, the audit tool covers the 3 areas of sustainability: environmental, social, cultural, and economics. And it is a self-audit, and it's one that's carried out in all honesty, and settings work out whether they are at minimal, good, excellent, or exemplary, following a code to help them with that. And once they've worked out which areas they'd like to improve, an ESC trainer supports them with a development plan, and then they can implement that over the coming months.
Okay, enough of the introductions and explaining the structure of the award. We're going to go on now to have presentations from 3 of the settings that each illustrate different contributions of different aspects of the award. So our first presentation is particularly focused on how the audit was used, and I'm going to hand over to Hannah Kiani at Unity Montessori School, Woodside Park, to tell us about her experience of doing the award. Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you. Thank you, John and Lynette, for the warm welcome. It's lovely to see so many names and faces on this call, so thank you all for joining us. As John said, my name's Hannah, and I work at a small Montessori school called Unity. Our ethos is defined in this quote from Montessori, who said, "All things are part of the universe and are connected with each other to form one whole unity." This idea of connection and interdependence is part of our day-to-day teaching. We want children to feel like they're really connected to their environment, both locally and globally. And because of that, we should all work together to look after the resources that we have. With that in mind, the OMEP Education for Sustainable Citizenship Award seemed to be the perfect fit for our children, our parents, our community, and us teachers. Through the award, children are able to see firsthand how we're connected to each other, our wildlife, and our planet. And we're really grateful to John and Lynette for sharing this award with us. As John said, we used a self-audit tool as a way of reflecting on our own environment and on our practice. And we made a series of small changes that enabled us to think about sustainability. We were amazed at the impact, not only in terms of children's literacy and their numeracy, but much more important in terms of their creativity and their collaborative projects, their collaborative play and their understanding, and the way that this also grew a sense of community within the school. So, what changes did we make? Of all the areas, the self-audit tool revealed that while we had a numeracy area, we did not always have numbers or the idea of consumption in a meaningful context that children could understand. So we added to the role play area with receipts, with calculators, with raffle tickets and resources for pricing, along with some money. Play money was used by the youngest children as a posting activity, and for the older children, they used it in their shops, their cafe, their petrol station, and their special money-making department that they made. The prices were outrageous. £12 for a piece of toast, £20 for coffee, and £200 for petrol. But the beaming smiles of the children made up for the overpriced goods. Parents provided new and exciting recycling, which the children sorted by type, and the most beautiful creations came out of our recycling bins. Castles and boats and cranes. You can see here a crane in progress. The little boy making it told us that cranes need stabilizers because the earth goes around the sun, and we need our cranes to be strong and stand up and not fall over, which seemed to demonstrate his understanding beautifully. We also made new paper from old shredded paper, and this enabled children to understand firsthand how materials can be used again and again and again. We also looked at small projects using a water cycle and water gauges, which prompted children to measure water and think about how they could use it to help the plants and herbs that they had grown. For the practitioners, engaging in this self-audit tool was really helpful. It enabled us to look with fresh eyes at how we can help children understand more about consumption and grow an awareness of numbers too. The excitement over tackling the economics area prompted changes in other areas too. And we looked at our environment. We are a pack-away nursery, which means all of our equipment goes into a very small cupboard at the end of every day. Sadly for us, that meant a pet was out of the question. And we share this cupboard, this area with the Scouts. It's used every evening by then, so we have to be careful about what we do in it. Instead of a pet, we made bird feeders, and we looked after the bugs and spiders and counted them. We started projects about animals, and the children made habitats. We grew plants and vegetables in planters and tried to stop the squirrels from eating everything. The children became expert composters. We were able to go on walks to the local park or forest school outings. All of these experiences gave the children an insight into new ways of looking after their environment. This was best demonstrated to me when 2 children noticed after heavy rain that some of our new plants had bent over and were on the ground. The children said, "We are a special task force, we are special plant savers," and they marched around the garden with sticks and twine, recruiting other children as they went to help the plants stand up again. Having a team of special plant savers seemed to sum up sustainable citizenship in action for me. In the social and cultural area, we continue to celebrate festivals, eat special meals, and we also committed to learning more songs in different languages. The teachers tried to learn Zoom, Zoom, Zoom in a variety of languages. The children were excellent teachers, but we knew we had not always hit the right pronunciation when children laughed out loud at our attempts or looked at us in absolute horror. We created baskets from artifacts from different countries so that children could share news about their own festivals that they like to celebrate at home. Celebrating the Bulgarian festival of Martinitsa and the start of spring felt special this year as the news of COVID had started to spread. We also used books and props to talk about emotions. We were amazed at the complex ideas that even the youngest children absorbed as they told us what things made them feel scared or angry or worried or happy, joyful and loved. Working with children means we never know what is going to happen next. And participating in the award surprised us all too. As teachers, we became a little bit braver. Forest School became a much loved moment in the week, and we took children on the tube to a farm, a very exciting visit, as I'm sure you can all imagine. After adding books to the book corner about different communities from around the world, children built houses using nursery resources that were ambitious and wide-ranging. We expected the bug hotel to be interesting for the children, but really it was all the side projects that the children came up with themselves that we didn't expect. The children took such care to write and record all that they found and saw, and we noticed incredible moments of collaboration as children embarked on their own projects to care for the environment. One particular highlight for me was the worm rescue, where children worked together to return some worms to their natural habitat away from the tarmac and scooters. As a nursery, we engaged in some exciting projects. We grew lettuces from seed and sold them to the parents. We were able to then go to a bookshop with the proceeds, and the children were able to choose books about the planet. They voted on which books to buy. As a result of the bookshop visit, the children asked how we could get even more books into the nursery, and our library was started. Parents and children bought books to make a library, and the children discovered ways to take care of books that belong to somebody else. Sadly, with COVID, our library has had to close, but we're hopeful it will open again next year. We're really happy to have participated in this award. As teachers, I feel like we've grown and become more ambitious about helping the children to understand more about consumption and ways to reuse resources and the importance of building community. Parents have become more involved and are happy donating their recycling, from large pieces of cardboard to old countertops from kitchens that we've turned into long tables where the children can work together. Finally, the children continue to celebrate their similarities and differences and share in looking after their environment in a collaborative way, which is so exciting. If we can help the children to respect each other and build and care for their world, then I think we really do have a hope for the future. Not only are these children creative and resourceful, they are also kind and thoughtful. They are dancing, singing, joyful worm rescuers and plant savers, which to me means the planet is in good hands. So thank you, Lynette and John, for sharing this award with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. It's so lovely to hear about your journey through the Bronze Award. I just took from that a few things that made me smile so much, although it was all amazing, was you've got very young children in your nursery, I know, and they're taking agency. I mean, how terrific is that? They're going out there to be the Sticks and Twine Task Force and special plant savers. And, you know, it's come from the children. And for me, that's the most important thing, is that we follow the children. And the little boy who enjoyed building houses and how that went into supporting understanding social culturally across communities, across globally, looking at houses from around the world and seeing how clever those people are using local resources to build their houses. And, you know, so we're getting an idea of environmental and economic there as well. And at bronze level, that bringing together of the three pillars like that is so strong and so amazing. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. We mentioned earlier the Icare booklets, and as we go through the presentation, we're going to pick up on the audit and the Icare more. And I'm delighted to be able to invite now ESC trainer Alison Featherby and owner of Young Friends Nature Nursery, Louise Lloyd-Evans, to take us through their journey of the Bronze Award. Welcome very much, Alison and Louise.
Thank you so much, Lynette, and thank you to both you and John for you know, allowing me to be a trainer for you and to deliver this. It's really made me think about how we teach children and what we teach them. So it's been an absolute privilege. Thank you. So yes, I've been a trainer for some time, and Louise was somebody that I've known for a long time. Which has been really nice, and I already knew that she was, like John said, walking the walk, and so I was so excited to bring this this award to her, so that I could take them further on, really, which was really nice. So knowing how much she's already achieved, I really wanted to share the audit to really find out and to celebrate what they've done already, but also that the audit was flexible enough to really build on their knowledge and understanding.
Yes, that's right. So, hi everyone. I'm Louise. So we were hi John and Lynette. We were already and are completely dedicated to sustainability. What the OMEP Award has done has made us really think about it in more depth. So we have been able to, with the help of the audit, we've been able to take stock of everything that we're doing and really involve the parents and the staff in making everything richer. So we've already got an urban, because we're not in the country at all. We've turned our garden into a woodland garden. It's not massive, but we've turned it into a native woodland. We have recycling stations everywhere. We have composting. The children already do that. We learn about energy consumption, and we have a completely natural pedagogy. We were already doing all of those things. The children are learning to reuse and repair. But the OMEP Award was really perfect for us because we were already ticking these boxes, and they really helped us enrich it. So I don't think it really matters how far along the journey you are. It makes you think about things and communicate with the parents and communicate with the families, and the staff, and it really helps you enrich all that. So we did our audit, and we saw where we could extend and improve, and it also taught us, which we didn't really think about before, but it really taught us about the 3 pillars of sustainability, because actually we realized that we were really focusing on the environmental side of things, which is obviously amazing. We were teaching about biodiversity and recycling and all of those things, but we weren't really thinking about the social and economic side of things as much as we could have been. I think Alison would agree with that, because lots of our targets through the audit were to do with those things, which we found really useful.
And these are some of the things this was something, that previous slide was about what you've been doing already, Louise, wasn't it? Which was having a book doctor, etc., yes. which has worked really well. And this is really about something that I particularly didn't know about at the beginning of our little journey. But it was eco warriors that I know that some of your staff had sort of created with the children, and children are eco warriors during the day, and they do some amazing things, Louise, don't they? So what does an eco warrior look like?
Well, they basically wear a green sash, and that turns them into an eco warrior. It's not they don't do an exam or anything like that. So the eco warriors are generally the older children in the nursery, but from 3 upwards. They get together, they talk about things that we could improve, or things that and they come up with some good suggestions. Some of them are not so great, but some of them are great. And we generally have, as John mentioned earlier, we make sure that we have a really positive perspective. We have policies in place and things so that the staff don't ever talk to the children about negative things. So we only talk about a collaborative way of being able to make things better. So whether we're talking about bees or spiders or hedgehogs or whatever, that's how we make things better, not the other way around. So we've been doing, our little eco warriors have been in action for quite a while, and they go around the building, and they basically area managers. But they go around the building and they switch off lights, and they tell people off. Why have you got your computer on? It's not being used. And they turn the composting barrel. So everyone else does the composting, but they're responsible for turning the composting barrels. It's very important. They're recycling, but they take it to the big bins outside, and the eco warriors notice when it's full, and they take it across the road. So they do the big, and also the animals. We've got lots of animals, so they make sure that they're clean and fed and watered and happy and all that sort of thing. But with the OMEP Award and with the OMEP Award, we started thinking about the 3 pillars much more. So even though those things were great, and obviously they're amazing and it's very important things, but they started doing things like tidying the garden and making sure that they looked after their environment. So we added to their list as if they didn't have enough to do, and they would go outside at the end of the day and check that everyone had left the woodland garden in a nice way, and that they looked after the hallways and the lobbies and the porchway and all that sort of stuff. So they did lots of things, and they also thought of ways to raise money. So we hadn't also done that before, and Hannah, I know you mentioned that, but we hadn't really done that before. Actually, we started a swap shop. So the parents came in and to stop clothes going to landfill. We started a swap shop, which was so handy with young children, because they're growing out of things all the time, and there's just things being thrown away all the time. So that was great. They were swapping things, and they also raised money. So we have a kitchen garden, so they were growing things and making tea and selling it to the parents, and making chutneys and selling it to the parents, and which was great for the nursery, because we didn't have to buy them a new keyboard, which they'd broken. Okay, next.
So this is a lovely one for me, and to see children naturally turn the lights off is lovely. We have lots of theory around children doing lots of these things, but often and sometimes when we see those things happening naturally, you really know that learning is going to stick, which is also a really important element of this too. So this would. All of these things that Louise was doing around, particularly around Eco Warriors, was really hitting all the 7 areas of learning as well, which is really important. So we were seeing children being much more critical thinkers, children really having discussions and a larger language around energy saving, children also really really being much more aware of their physical environment as well, rather than just being there in the day and making the most of those experiences. They were traveling around the building and very conscious of what was there and what was in their environment. And so they began to look after it more through book doctors, etc. And their relationships also became deeper because they were talking to children about other children's roles and responsibilities, so they were collaborating really well as well. And now, because this started, you know, for us over a year ago, but now we really see this through their play too, and it's been nice to see those younger children coming up and learning from those older children.
Yeah, that's right. So that's so important, that to know that there's to having a sustainable curriculum, and we've got we haven't got completely sustainable. We hope it's completely sustainable, but there's always stuff to learn, so we're always building on it. But we're certainly covering all the 7 areas in truckloads. The children are learning much more than they would do, you know, with just ticking boxes and things, because they're inspired and interested. You see, children have a natural affinity with, first of all, nature, but, you know, all of these things, that the 3 pillars of sustainability, they have a natural affinity with, and they completely understand why, if you teach them from day one, they do end up, it's part of them. I've got a 19-year-old, and actually she might be 20 now, I'm not sure. And she and also lots of my staff are they haven't spent any time learning about all of these things, and they're learning it now. So if we teach it to them when they're younger, and it's totally embedded within them, and that's what they do, and becomes completely natural to them. And because they're inspired by nature and interested, so we've taken away all of our sessions. We don't have sessions. We don't have, like, you know, messy play and all that sort of stuff. We don't have any of that stuff, because actually everything that children are learning, we're teaching about. It fills up the whole day, learning about sustainability, and everything we do is a life lesson, and everything teaches them everything. So they're learning about shape, space and measures, and, you know, everything they learn about absolutely everything just through general life, because you don't need to take it up a few levels and start teaching them about phonics and all of that stuff. And at home, the parents are reporting, obviously, as Alison quite rightly said, that they're turning their lights off. They're even eating their dinner because they understand about waste. I mean, that's not foolproof. They'd probably not agree with me there, but I can see that they understand why they shouldn't waste that food. So all that time you spent when you were younger saying, oh, there's children in, you know, other countries and they should be grateful for that food. Well, children don't, unless they understand it. So we're growing the food. We've got a big seed to plate thing and going on, and it's embedding empathy and nurture and respect, and that's what we need to do, because there's no point in learning it when there is a point, obviously, but, you know, it's more difficult to learn it later on than it is to embed it when they're younger. So the idea is that we're creating complete sustainable citizens who will actively help to make it a happy, accepting world for everybody's future.
This
Next
is a
slide.
lovely picture from Louise's garden at the nursery, which is so nice. And we've had that conversation. You know, I'm a parent as well, and children have a lot of power when they come home and start saying, actually, have you put that needs to be recycled. And so not only have I learned an awful lot from all of this, we really recognise that even the very youngest children have a power with their parents too, and that is something that Louise did through doing the OMEP. We were really able to use those at-home learning activities to really embed and to make the learning stick. So that's really important.
Yeah, so yes, we do have all these. Well, one of the things that we try and teach in our nursery is that you don't need to have all these big things. Like we have got an entire wall of bug habitat. I'm not sure how grateful those bugs are, but anyway. So we do have an entire, but you don't need to. You can just have a little. So what the parents have done, and with the help of the booklets, Icare booklets, they were going home and they were adapting what we were doing at nursery to home. So they were starting to make, you know, we gave them things actually, like seeds and things, and they created boxes on their balconies for bees and little bug boxes, and you know, all those things. So it really helped them adapt what we were doing on a bigger scale, and what lots of other nurseries can do to their smaller scale. And Alison's right, their children were making their parents feel really guilty for not doing it in the first place, which was amazing. Doesn't matter why they do it. But they were so we have got, you know, and we think that it's really important not only to have, we've got domestic animals, so we've got lots of guinea pigs and a dog that comes in. It's my dog, Labrador, that comes in, but it's not just about that. It's about the slugs and the spiders and the frogs and the squirrels that come in and feed and all that stuff. And it creates an empathy in a child, however big or small. We try and create everything on a native level. So we've got natively. So in our garden we've only got native flowers, and we talk to them, plants, and we talk to them about native insects and things like that, rather than talking to them about, and we obviously, if they want to talk to us about orangutans, that's totally fine, and we'll talk to them about that, because lots of their parents do talk about things like that. But generally our main curriculum is about what's around us. So we talk about the beach which is nearby, and what's in the fish that are nearby for us, so that children can become can relate a lot better to what they're learning about, and then they can relate it to the other stuff around the world.
So this lovely slide was something that Louise and her team came up with, because we had some barriers around the stickers and around the passport. We thought everyone's going to lose them, and you're not going to be able to do that. But lots of parents did, absolutely. But there were some parents that wanted to engage in the activities and wanted to really care. But because life is really busy, we found a useful way for them to join in as well. And so they created these little boxes. And so parents would come in. They would have a discussion with the team via, got an online journal system. So they'd have a discussion with the team about the activities. And so we were able to recognise that they had done some of them. And we found that observations coming from home were much richer as well, which was another plus point. And so what parents would do is they would come and put a little bottle top into one of the boxes that were that obviously linked to the Icare booklets. And that worked really well, because I think, Louise, you had about over 60% of parents, didn't you, engage in this?
Yeah, we did, and we do have we have an online thing which Alison was talking about, in how we engage with parents. And obviously at the time they were coming into the setting. Now if we were doing it now, we'd probably think of a different way. Well, no, we wouldn't. We'd probably just have those boxes outside, to be honest. But we sat and we talked about the best way for our setting. We've got this lobby, it's not that big. And we've thought about ways of doing everything. Where are we going to put our recycling bins? Where are we going to put all that? You know, it's always individual to a setting. But what was going to work best to engage the parents? And yet, to start with, we probably had about 40%. Within a very short amount of time, we had about 60 or 70% of children that did it. And they loved it. We had these lovely, which one of our leaders really enjoyed decorating the boxes, you know, and they looked beautiful. And they had these, they just put these counters in there every time and they loved it. They achieved something at home, and they came in and they said, look, we've done this. Whether it was just, and actually it was really good because it brought lots of the big things we were teaching them about, like energy and all that sort of stuff. What the passports do, they bring that back down to like home level, if you see what I mean. So in order to we learn about saving water at nursery, but in all sorts of ways. We have to say water savers and all that sort of stuff. But not everyone has those sorts of things at home. So it would literally just say, have you turned the torch on and off and thought what that meant to, you know, and how long that battery would last and things like that. And just bringing those tiny little things home to children teaches them a basis of, you know, so yeah, they love those Icare booklets. And I think that you can adapt all of the tasks that are given to you in the booklets to your setting, whether you're just starting out or whether you're really far down the line. I think that we thought it was great, and our parents gave us such good feedback about them, didn't they? On the
I think what also happened as well was that the act, obviously those Icare booklets were so good because they were really tuned into where parents were at as well, and they're very well written, so they really ticked your box, Louise, didn't they, about at-home learning. But what parents started to do was really engage with Louise, and they began to not necessarily come clean, but they began to say what their passions were, and we were actually quite amazed that some of their roles and responsibilities and their jobs themselves were actually linked to sustainability as well, and that made us think about, actually we need to sort of know what all parents do so that we can tap into them as a resource too. And I know, Laura, Louise and I did an inspirational day to share not only what we've done here, but lots of the things that she's done at the nursery. And I know Laura was on your board, wasn't she, Laura? She was there with us on that Snap Day, but she was also one of your parents that really helped you, and she gave you this lovely quote, didn't she?
Yes. Laura, lovely Laura. She was one of we're a bit sad she's not having any more children, but she was on our board of Eco Warriors. So she actually asked to be on a board of Eco Warriors. We didn't actually, and she has actually said that she wants us to come, if she wants to come in again, even after her children have left, because she enjoyed it so much. But yes, she was super proud to be part of it. It was, yeah. So she used to come in when the Eco Warriors, because they had set times. They just kick into action any time, really, the Eco Warriors. But at set times, she would come in and she would sort of take them around. She'd take them on beach cleans, and she'd take them. Yeah, it was really nice. It created a real unity between the parents and the children. Yeah, really good.
So we are very fortunate. We do live on the south coast, and we do make the most of our community. And Louise's children go out every day, and one of those places they go to is to the local beach, and it's really important to children. It's a place where they go with their grandparents, a place where some of their parents work and live and thrive on the beach. Some of them own restaurants and pubs that are on the beach, so they know how important the beach is. But they also have known through stories and through discussions how important it is to keep that beach clean. And so through the awards, Louise was able not just to go on beach cleans, which is that top picture, but actually to divide the bits and pieces that they found on the beach into different, obviously that's a sorting activity, into different boxes. So we were really able to not only obviously continue being at the beach and all of those benefits for being outside, but to just put something additional in place that really upped the learning, which was so nice. And Louise, very recently you had a little child that left, didn't you? And what did he say that made us all well up?
Should I try and make everyone else well up?
Yeah.
Okay, so what a sweetie. He had been at our nursery for throughout, and his sister is still there, so we're expecting very big things from his sister. But he came to the door to pick up his sister because he'd gone to school this September, and he turned up with his dad, and his dad said, "I'm terribly sorry, but I won't say his name, I probably shouldn't say his name. I'm terribly sorry, but he can't, he hasn't bought anyone a present because he's left. He hasn't bought anyone a present." And we were like, "Oh, okay." And he said, no, he didn't want to buy anyone a present. He said because he'd rather spend the money, which was the first thing, because he's learned to be a sustainable citizen, because he's all that stuff. So he wanted to spend the money on his new classmates at school instead, because he wanted to buy them all litter pickers, because he said, "Don't waste your money, Daddy. The nursery will understand. I want to buy my new classmates litter pickers because I doubt they've got eco warriors at nursery, and I'd really like to teach them how to." So yeah, it was lovely. Yeah,
and that was
so it does work. The point is that it does work. If you from day one, if you start just doing little things like composting, with that composting and all these sorts of things just on a really basic level, then by the time they leave, it's fully embedded, and they're only 3 and 4 years old. And those people are so confident that they're going to go to school and they're going to demand that there's an eco meeting. And and then it spreads to the families, like these families that were, and actually quite to do with the OMEP, because they saw us really communicating with all the parents, and the parents really got to know what we were doing. Actually, lots of the parents then went to work and started doing the same things that, started saying, right, why aren't we doing, my little girl's telling me I need to be doing that. We really need to do that. And so it spreads and it spreads and it spreads. And these are the little people that we need to do it.
Yeah. So,
but
yes.
We really want to, sorry, last one.
It was an amazing opportunity. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, John and Annette. It really was, and everyone, the staff and the parents, all feel the same, and the children.
Thank you, Alison and Louise. And congratulations. I mean, I think applause here is deserved for being shortlisted for the Nursery World Awards this year. That's really bringing the whole of sustainability up into the limelight, which is brilliant.
Thank you.
I think one of the things that Hannah and Louise and Alison have really illustrated is that we're not talking here about something that's bolted on to the curriculum in early childhood. It's changing the ethos. Everything is delivered in an integrated way through education for sustainable citizenship, and that's the intention. Okay, last but not least, Sharon Shahal from Monkey Puzzle Day Nursery in Sidcup. Over to you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone. It was just so lovely to listen to Hannah and Louise, and just really good. So, hi, I'm Sharon, and I'm the owner of Monkey Puzzle Day Nursery in Sidcup. The nursery has about 105 places, and we're in Sidcup in Kent, so it's quite a suburban area with a few local parks and woodland areas. It's quite close to a train station, so lovely opportunities for us to be able to, pre-COVID, to commute to go up to London and visit museums and other local areas as well. And we are open all year round, and we have a big diverse nursery with approximately 30 languages spoken, so definitely diverse. And basically for us, we follow theme-based learning, and when I came across this training, as a nursery, it just felt like that this was kind of like, I was intrigued, inspired Lynette and John, just to kind of figure out how we could move forward in our journey and support the sustainable citizenship through the curriculum. So moving on, so here's a little girl called Clara. She's in our preschool room, who before our actual journey of the education for sustainable citizenship had a clear interest of either reading or phonics or writing. She was very happy and content, generally within the room environment. And it was very visible that her preference was generally to be indoors. So what we kind of did is we introduced through her schema and, you know, taking her text and books as an interest for her, we sent home the Icare Booklets to the family and did lots of activities for the audit and along with the schema play. And it allowed us to basically, through her interest of the books, just create and introduce the three pillars of the sustainable development via the text. And as you can see, the oral wonder created from a child who was predominantly in the room, reading, writing, enjoying her phonics, became a child who loved forest school, who was telling me that bananas came from trees. There were quite a few children that told me that bananas came from monkeys, but you know, we eventually got the message to the children. But she was delighted to just be a bit more, you know, in the outdoor spaces. She created a wormery using a plastic bottle. She's created some musical instruments during forest school. So she's taken that home learning, home, and actually she's actively recycling, as you can see in the bottom picture. That was a lovely journey of a preschool child. So here you can see that the award, it will help with the parent partnership through the Icare Booklets. The award has encouraged our parents to become more aware, not just supporting children, but actively engaging, doing that, you know, through the different activities, but also become role models themselves at home. So through the observations sent by parents, you can see that the parents are involved and deciding to make better choices at home. Chloe on the left, you can see, has enjoyed finding numbers in the environment and recognised the fair trade symbol on the sachets of sugar and also counted 3 of them out as well. And the parents done a lovely observation for us. On the right, you can see Ephraim is a child that has continued the interest of bees from nursery with his family at home. And it was great to see the research and the input from the parents at home, which allowed them to create the bug hotel. So pre-COVID, we were lucky enough to get the support and the expert knowledge from parents and grandparents as well in developing our outdoor spaces. So we had grandparents come in and volunteer, which was really good because not a lot of our staff are green-fingered, but when you call for the help from parents and grandparents, you get lots of support. So that was really nice as well. So after we successfully gained the Bronze Award, we were sent some lovely messages from our parents who were really pleased to hear about our achievement. And we're happy that children were actively encouraged to care for the community and the environment. They appreciated this initiative so much. Our nursery, as well as both the nurseries, the Unity Montessori and the Young Friends, we all featured in the Nursery World magazine, which was quite an achievement for us. And our parents were delighted to see that, and the award has allowed us to share our experiences and showcase our achievements. Learning about the food production has inspired our nursery to get an allotment, and now the children are keen to repair and recycle as much as possible, including mending books. They come and tell you when they, we need to mend a book for them. We've just got a little quote to read from our practitioner, just to understand her journey. So she said, taking part in the OMEP UK Education of Sustainable Citizenship Award has not only made me more aware of the need to look after our environment, but also the need to model looking after the environment. So actually it's not just about supporting the children, but it's about your own modelling. Children are interested to see what the adults in the setting are doing and why they are doing them. This drive to understand and copy what the adults do has led to children engaging in a range of independent activities. So things like watering plants, caring for animals, feeding them, care for local wildlife as well. For example, some children have enjoyed making bird feeders. They've enjoyed making predictions about which bird feeder would be most enjoyed by the birds, and then creating tallies and surveys. It has also led them to finding out about different species and a huge, using lots of research tools. Engaging in the award has also helped me to appreciate the 3 pillars of sustainable development and how to encourage and support children's activities across these pillars. There has been great problem solving taking places in terms of considering our community, caring for the environment, and being aware of our own consumption. So one little activity that we did was to add a measuring unit to our water butt in the garden. So from that, it encouraging children to find actually how much water is being saved and how much we are reusing again in our gardens. Also from an economic perspective, we seeded recycling activity, so we added in bins for recycling for our indoors and outdoor garden spaces. So again, we were showing the children actually the consumption of the wastage used and actually how we could reuse them in different areas. So that's been definitely a bonus as well for our children. The nursery is also linked with local farms as that children's appreciation of animals and their care was brought upon. And pre-COVID spent a lot of time finding out about beekeeping and the need for bees. So families then also joined in by planting native wildflowers at home to help with the bee population. And actually, as you can see, Ephraim had also gone a little bit further to make his bug hotel. So all the new activities introduced to individual children built upon what children can do and what they like to do. Their operational schemes. This has meant that children have felt esteemed to have a go at new activities offered. This is also considered in the Icare Booklets. The children did a bronze level and obviously the silver level will just be built upon that. And these books are engaged by the children and their families, so ECS is promoted not just at the nursery but at home as well. Just the last slide. And just a few pictures just from the nursery to showcase our visits to the local police station, the fire station and the National Maritime Museum, which the children have thoroughly enjoyed, or going to the local shops to identify the fair trade symbol. During Black History Month, children have enjoyed leading hands of prize, and for Diwali we created an Indian home corner. During the summer, while we were in the room, we had a discussion about weather and it was quite hot. As the children were filling their water bottles, a practitioner had said, I wonder what other things may be feeling hot in this weather. The children named various animals, and there was one child that said, I think the plants and the flowers need water. And this led to the children visiting our gardens on a daily basis and watering the plants and flowers with their watering cans. So it's just about us, our journey through the children, our parents and our staff, and how we engage the whole journey of our nursery. And thank you to Lynette and John for giving this opportunity. So thank you so much, Lynette and John.
Thank you very much, Sharon. What I loved about what you just said is we can hear the child's voice come through. And for me, that is the most important thing. What is going on, what is happening for the child, which is lovely. And thank you for sharing a little bit of Clara's learning journey there. What's really stood out for us when seeing your audit come through was that the parents and the setting together have been involved in the learning journey. There has been a real journey in the child's learning journey, and it's been the little things like looking at the measurement on the water butt has taken to tallying and engagement in numeracy and looking at the plants. You've gone into literacy. It's been so wonderful to see that and to share that with you. And as you say, the little things have made such a big difference. Just having those recycling cartons outside has meant when looking to make things, you're actually not only looking at your consumption, but you're also looking at your reduction and reuse, which has been superb. Thank you for sharing that. We have quite a few resources around the OMEP UK Education for Sustainable Citizenship Award, and one of those resources is a book that we created in the attempt to support a really truly child-centred approach to ESC. We were very keen that the activities that are supported through the award are not just tokenistic. We're not just doing them because they tick the box of sustainability, but they actually build upon what children can already do and what they already know about. So there are the anchors there, so it's actually meaningful for them. And the way the book works is that the practitioners are supported to observe children in their free flow play. So when they are actually free in their play and we can see what they really love to do and what they're doing and what they know about, and taking that information and looking at what they do and what they know and getting some activities to support that. Now, really, we'd love this book to self-destruct if we were honest, because we don't want it to be seen as a curriculum. So once your practitioners have started to use the book and got familiar of thinking about, oh, well, if I've got a child who loves sorting and grouping, why not make a bug hotel? Because we sort and group in that. So they're seeing lots of different ways to engage and apply the schemes they've got. And if they like tallying, they can be looking on bird watches and really extending lots of context out for them. So yes, don't throw it away, do pass it on to somebody else. And that's probably better than self-destructing.
Most settings actually embark upon this initiative with a trainer or a consultant supporting them. Some trainers work with their own setting first of all, with the aim that they'll be able to support other settings subsequently. Alison mentioned about the criteria for achieving the award. Part of that is to have 60% of parent engagement. You might wonder where we got that number from. It's simply, we needed it scaled down to the smallest possible childminder. So if you've got 3 children, three families, then 60% still works. So it's the majority of settings, and most of the award winners so far have done much more than 60% engagement. In fact, they've often been very surprised at how many parents are engaging with this, while other initiatives maybe have not been so popular in the past. So this is the form that's filled in to make the application. It shows a little summary of the baseline audit material, some details of the planning that was made to develop the curriculum, and then the outcomes. And it's accompanied with some pictures of the children's activities, feedback from parents perhaps, and the audit itself. It goes off to the accreditation board at OMEP UK, who meet regularly to look at them, and the award is made. And the criteria really for the Bronze Award is to start the journey, is to really make a beginning. There's a silver and gold level as well, and hopefully we're going to take it a long way further. But those are the main instruments that are used in the award.
And it's been a strange year this year, I think we can all agree on that. And we launched the award last September. I remember Alison and Sharon were our first trainers coming in the autumn last year. But we were really pleased. We've got 934 children currently engaging in the Bronze Level Award. And there were a further 110 engaging in the Bronze who have now gone on to the Silver Level Award. We are training trainers because we'd love this to spread around the UK. As you can see we've got quite a lot of trainers in the southeast at the moment, but we're very keen to spread this out. So we've got people in Dorset and Devon, in Bristol, coming up into the East Anglia region there, into Suffolk and Norfolk and Cambridge, into Walsall and Wolverhampton, and up into Derby there, and we've got Harrogate and Bolton. And really pleased, we've also got, and I think I've just seen her name pop up on my screen, Liz in Dumfries as well. So it's wonderful to have that great spread.
Okay, so we really hope you've enjoyed the presentations, and even more we hope that we've inspired you to get more involved yourselves if you're not already. And if you're representing a setting, then please, for more information, if you contact ESC OMEP at Gmail, we've got loads of materials that we can send you. Whether or not you go on to the award, we want to support you in your journey. If you're particularly interested in training to become a trainer, to support settings in this journey, then please contact us at admin@schemaplay. And we actually have a course scheduled before the end of the year. We've got a course running on 10th and 11th online to train trainers. If you're interested in doing that, then please get back to us as soon as you can, and we'll get all the information out to you. Thank you so much for attending, and good luck on the future.
And we won't just close there. Thank you again to Hannah, to Sharon and Louise and Alison. And we'd like to open the floor now. It's not so easy, we know, on a big presentation where it looks like we've got 97 people in the waiting in the room at the moment, but do feel free. I've noticed there's been some chats coming through, so we will take a look at those as well. But if you have any questions that you'd like to ask, either to John, to myself, to Hannah, to Louise, Alison or Sharon, please do feel free to do so. We're here to answer any questions you may have if you'd like to carry on and have a discussion. Otherwise, we're so grateful to you for joining this evening, and we wish you a very pleasant evening.